All right, so here is the back side of the worksheet. And it says, use Cramer's rule to solve a system of linear equations. Now, the cool thing is, last week I was showing you how to solve 3 by 3 using Gaussian elimination and starting off with the augmented matrix, then doing row operations to get it to be that in row echelon form and different things like that. You can look back at the notes. This right here, I'm kind of taking you a step back in a sense. We're only doing a 2 by 2 system. Yay! 2 variables, 2 equations. And so we're gonna find the determinant. And we're gonna use Cramer's rule to actually solve and get the solution. So step 1, write the equations in standard form. So standard form, once again, is alphabetical order with the variables on the left side and all constants on the right side. Okay, like you see here. Okay, that's the format. Okay, so A represents the coefficient of the X term, B represents the coefficient of the Y term, and then C on the other side of the equal sign represents just the number that's by itself. That's called standard form. Okay, so once they're in standard form and the variables are stacked on top of each other, like so, you know what I'm saying? Then step 2 says write the coefficient matrix of the system of equation. So the coefficient matrix means just take the coefficients of all these variables out, okay? And we all know that if there is, we don't see a coefficient in front of the variable, then the coefficient is 1, okay? So we see this matrix here, and we see this system here. So we're going to strip off the variables and just leave the coefficients. So we got 1 and 1 and 1. Is that a positive or a negative? Hold on, let me use my eraser because I'm finna see. I'm like, is this a mistake that they made? Oh, that's a plus sign right there. Okay, so it's 1 and 1 across the top, then 2 and negative 1 on the bottom. And then you have the determinant. You're going to find your determinant like we did in the last video. Okay, you're going to find your determinant, which is just 1 times negative 1. Oh, Lord. Pray for your teacher. 1 times negative 1, and then we're going to subtract 2 times positive 1. 2 times 1. So you're going to end up getting negative 3 as they show here. Now that's just getting the determinant. Once you get the determinant, step 3 is to solve for X and for Y using what's called Cramer's rule, okay? And then remember to divide by the determinant. So here's the steps of solving, okay? The coefficients of X in the coefficient matrix are replaced by the constant terms. Okay, they're replaced by the constant terms. So, okay, so what does that mean? Basically, what that means is that instead of the A's being here in this left column, which is the A's are the coefficients of all the X terms. That's what it means right here, the coefficients of the X terms in the coefficient matrix. So that means this column right here. You're going to replace those with the constant terms. Now, the constant terms are these terms in the system that's on the right side. So that would be the 2 and the 7, okay? Got it? Here we go. We got C1 and B1, okay? So C is the constant term that's on the right side of the equal sign, okay? That's this thing up here, C. So it says C on the first equation, and then you're going to put that across from B in the B1 in the first equation, okay? And then you're going to take the C in the second equation, okay, which is C2. I'm talking about this number 7 right here. And then you're going to put it across from the B coefficient in the second equation, which would be negative 1. So you got the constant term, okay, 2 here, which is C1. That's the constant in the first equation. This is equation number 1 up here. Then this is equation number 2. And then you got putting that across from the b term, which is always next to the y. Okay? You putting that across from that. And then you taking the other c, which is the constant in the second equation, 7, that guy right there, and you putting that right next to the b term, which is, like I said, it's the coefficient of the y term. You put that right next to that. So that's your coefficient matrix, and that's when you're solving for x. When I'm solving for x, I use the y coefficients. Okay, I'm circling it up there. I use the y coefficients and the constants. When I'm solving for y, I use the x coefficients. Okay, and I put them with the constants. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have the determinant is going to be 2 times -1. Okay, minus 7 times 1. That's our, oh, we already got the determinant. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Squash that. You're still going to multiply 2 times -1 and get -2. It's just like you did the determinant. And then subtract 7 minus 1 and get -7. You're going to get -9 on top, -3 on bottom. Divide those. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and you would get +3 because 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so that's the x solution. That's the whole thing. Okay, but all we did was we did the same thing and how we found the determinant, except we flipped it. We put the coefficients first. I mean, not the coefficients, but the constants first. We put the constants first, then we put whatever variable we're not solving for, those coefficients, in the second column. And then we did our cross multiply and subtract. Okay, that's our top number. And then once we get that top number, we just divide by the determinant, and which the determinant we already found was -3. Okay, now let's solve for y. When we're solving for y, now we're using the a coefficients. Now the coefficients of the y in the coefficient matrix are replaced by the constant terms. So now instead of having the y coefficients in this column right here, you're going to have the constants. Okay, so 2 and 7, the numbers that's on this side of the equation. Okay, they're on the right side of the equation. Okay, so you're going to have 1, which is the A1 coefficient, that's 1. Then the A2, which is the A term, or the coefficient next to the x in the second equation, which is 2. You're going to have that. And then you're going to have that across from 2 and 7. Okay? And we're going to do our little cross multiply thing. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 2 is 4. So we're subtracting 4 from 7. We're going to get 3 on top. And then we're going to divide it by what we already found earlier, which is our determinant, divided by -3. And we get positive divided by negative is a -1. So our solution to this system is x equals 3, y equals -1. Woo!